I'm Natasha. I'm very upset. Were you expecting Renee and Natasha to do makeup right now? Yes, you were. So I filmed this video back at Comic-Con, and unfortunately it was spread out through 3 different memory cards and 2 different cameras. I lost the last half of the footage, but I couldn't just not edit what I had because I have about 30 minutes of footage still. I just don't have the intro, the outro, and the end product. But you will be able to see all of Renee's incredible makeup skills, and that's what I really wanted to feature in this video. Renee Ahdieh is the author of The Wrath and the Dawn and The Rose and the Dagger. She has a new book coming out this year, next year I guess, 2017, Flame in the Mist, and it's another duology. That one comes out May 16th, but I hope you guys enjoyed the footage that I got from Comic-Con.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of it's like surgical tape, and I'm going to position it at the edge of Natasha's eye and go towards her temple. A lot of people use Scotch tape to do this. I do too. Thing is, when I'm doing it on other people, because the skin around your eye is really fragile and you don't really want to pull it with Scotch tape because Scotch tape's not meant to go on your skin. But what you can do to sort of reduce the tackiness, don't do it on your own skin if you're doing someone else's makeup, it's just more sanitary, is do it on her skin and then take it and you want to position it like almost, you don't want to get on her eyelashes, so underneath her eyelashes and up towards her temple, and then just press it down here like this.
You smell so good.
Oh, thank you. This perfume actually was a perfume that was recommended to me by my good friend Marie Riccosti. Marie has amazing taste in perfume.
What is it?
This one is Le Labo Rose 31.
I haven't seen the white tip of that for a while. I have the same brush, I haven't washed it.
Oh, these brushes are so good. They're so inexpensive, but I love them. So I'm putting primer on her eyelids. I really like Urban Decay's primer potion. It's nice because if you're fair-skinned like me and Natasha, you can sort of cancel out any redness or any sort of veins that show on your eye with this one. Taking a Real Techniques brush. It's the dome-shaped one. It's really soft. And again, you want to make sure whenever you're working on someone else's eye or your own eye that you're using the softest brush as possible. And I'm just blending this, and I'm going all the way over to the tape here. The eyeshadow I'm going to put on her is going to go all the way over here, so you want to make sure that it's even. Get into the corner here too.
Are you supposed to put concealer on your eyelid?
But this isn't concealer, this is primer potion. You can do concealer. A lot of people do that, but I find it creases.
It creases in my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and your eyes are like mine.
Yeah.
Where you have a really heavy hood. If you get hot or if you put too much stuff on, it just doesn't stay.
Renee, how long have you been in makeup? What's your background in it?
Beyond just a big love of it, I used to work at a makeup counter when I was in college, and I also did a lot of makeup for people's weddings, friends' weddings, and stuff like that. Then it's just like a hobby. It's just been something I've always really enjoyed doing, even as a kid. But the fashion magazines, even though I really liked fashion in general, looking at different makeup looks, especially sort of the artistic ones, the ones you can't necessarily wear out, I loved. The next thing I'm gonna do is, this is such a great palette. It's not necessarily the most wearable palette if you're just going out for work. I see no reason to have all these cool colors on us.
Oh my god, it's so bright.
This is such a great palette. Yeah, this is the Urban Decay Electric palette, and I love these colors. They're essentially pressed pigments, so you can work with them either dry or wet. If you really want intense colors, you can dampen your brush with Max Fix Plus or even water, but I'm going to be using them dry here so they're not as pigmented. So I'm starting with the silver, and I love
a big brush.
So I'm just putting this all over your lid right now. This is a Wayne Goss eye brush.
Do you like putting concealer on after you do eye makeup?
It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing a really neutral look, I like putting the concealer on with the foundation. So doing concealer foundation first and letting my under eye bake with translucent powder, and then wiping away after I collect the fallout. But if I'm using these really intense pigment-based colors, I find that it's easier to do this first and then do the concealer. Otherwise, it just gets all in your makeup. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking the silver and I'm putting it from right above her eyelash line up towards the crease, but not totally towards the eyebrow. And again, be sure you take it all the way over to where the tape is, because what this tape is helping to do is create a really nice clean line and making sure everything is even. And it's always important too when you're doing someone else's makeup, even your own. I know we're really tough on our own faces when we're doing makeup, but don't pull actually on the skin around your eye. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just pulling to flatten the surface a little bit above her eye. The desire would be to go to the eyebrow and do this or something like that. Try not to do that. It's not good for your skin. And she has such beautiful skin. I want it to stay that way for as long as possible.
Yes, please. When I read The Wrath and the Dawn, I noticed that there wasn't much makeup talked about in the book. Are you planning to put it in future books? More makeup talk?
I would love to do something with that. I would love to put more stuff with makeup in there. I did a lot of stuff with food.
Yes.
And with clothes
Clothing.
in The Wrath and the Dawn, and I thought if I went through too many of my obsessions, it would just look like a book that was written to satisfy what I love, which is totally fine, but then everybody would be like, well, it needs to sell across the board. It can't just be about what you like. The next color I'm using is Jilted. It's this purple color, and I'm starting this in her crease, and I'm using a very soft crease brush. What I do with like these sort of, again, really pigmented colors,
What is a crease brush?
it's one that you like can put in the fold of your eye very easily to create a really
Like a
soft line.
tapered?
Yeah,
What
it's
makes
very
it
tapered.
creasy? Oh, it's like a paintbrush.
It's a lot like a paintbrush. So it's like rounded and tapered at the end, and again, it's super soft. I mean, it's densely packed.
I feel like I'm getting a makeup lesson.
Yeah.
Like I really end
So you
up.
can have a brush like this. This is a great brush too for the crease, but this is like, it's stiff. So you're not going to get a lot of movement of products. It's going to be really good for like diffusing things, whereas this one, it's very soft.
Okay.
Another one like this is a very small crease brush. So if I were doing, like I was talking about with Christine, the cut crease, this is the sort of brush I would use to help with the cut crease, to like
Cool.
diffuse out color.
I learned about diffusion in 7th grade. And osmosis.
That'd be really cool if we could work osmosis into the makeup process. What I'm doing is I'm not swirling it in any one color. I tap the tip into the color. That sounds dirty. So, like, it's like rating in the background. This video is R. Tap the tip of the brush in the color, and then you have to remove the excess. Also tap.
What if the excess gets on your white floor?
This is
Oh,
again. This is again a problem. Real life struggles right there. So then I'm starting in essentially the fold, so sort of halfway between. So when Natasha naturally opens her eye, you want to make sure that the color is still visible when her eye is open. So I'm starting there, and I'm doing a really soft line from the tape all the way inward. You want to make sure you don't put too much color in the inner eye, because then you look like drunk. This is not children appropriate. Not that we know
Well,
what it means
children's-
to look drunk. We
Children
know.
shouldn't be wearing
Shouldn't
this
be
kind of
wearing
makeup.
this much makeup anyway.
This would be fun for them to watch, but please don't wear this.
Exactly. And don't go online or go to your parents and be like, Natasha and Renee said this was okay. So I'm putting this line of color here, and then I'm just going to slowly drag out the excess along the edge here. So we have a really softly diffused
I like
color
it.
and shape here.
I'm so glad we have the same eyes.
I know,
Because you know
this
how
is
to
so
do
great.
it. I had my makeup done once, and it was terrible.
Oh, I don't let other people do my makeup. I've
Yeah.
become one of these insufferable people. And I'm taking another soft brush. This is by Real Techniques. And I'm taking the upper edge of it, and I'm just diffusing that out, because what you don't want is a really harsh line. Unless you're doing like a cut crease look that's supposed to have a really harsh line, that can look a little bit unpolished, especially as the day goes on. So I'm just diffusing out that color so it's very soft, blended out.
You look like an ad for Mac.
Good. How often do you wash your makeup brushes?
Not as often as I should. What I try to do is exactly what you guys are looking at over there. Christine, do not put that on camera, because that's distracting. I try to, like, wipe them off on like a towel.
Me too. I wipe
Yeah.
them off on my pant leg.
That's an option as well. Oh, and I have one of those. I don't have it with me because I carry entirely too much makeup as it is. Have you ever seen those color switch things before? I have one of those, and that works really well too.
Every time Renee's hands come to my nose, I'm like,
It's a really nice perfume. So I'm just taking a little of that Jilted color, and I'm bringing it onto her lash line. So you also want to check as you're doing makeup that it looks even.
whoa,
so
there was
at every
just a bird.
Holy crap.
It was like
What if it
so
had
close.
flown into the window?
While you were filming.
He came to
Cool,
check it out.
though.
He's like, oh, I like your makeup. So you want to continuously check as you're doing the makeup to make sure everything is even before you add another layer of color onto it. And this looks pretty good. I'm going to do a little bit more on the outside edge of this.
Renee and I have been talking about doing this since Y'all West.
I know, this
Where
has
we
been
met.
weeks in the making.
Yes. We met first at Y'all West, and I met her, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have so much in common. And then I read your books, like, right after that.
I'm so glad she did. Look how beautiful she
I'm
is. And
such a
she's an
fan.
amazing like makeup artist as well.
Thank
Her
you.
makeup is always, I think on fleek is over, but I'm going to use it anyway. Her makeup is always on fleek.
On
so-
point is
Yeah,
back.
on
Is
point.
that
Or is that what we're doing? Okay.
Well, on point
Excuse
is
me.
what it was always. And then they started saying on fleek, and I was like, what the hell is that?
You just gotta keep trying to be cool, right? That's the end goal. So we're back to on point, which is where it should have stayed. The next color I'm gonna use is this urban color. It's beautiful. It's really deep. It has a lot of blue in it, purple. So it's a nice contrast. What I'm gonna do with this, I'm gonna take the same brush which is great when you're traveling because you don't need to take many brushes, even though I do. Anyway.
She does. She has 9 over there.
And you want to put this color slightly underneath the first color. Just slightly underneath, because you don't want to undo all that work that you first did.
So what color is bluish? Is that dark
blue,
purple?
No, it's a purple color, but the undertones, because you can have purples that have like a red undertone, and you can have purples that have a blue undertone. The initial color I started with is a purple that has more of a red undertone, whereas this one has more of a blue, and so they're just nice contrasts. And especially with her coloring, this is really nice. It's gonna be really pretty with her eye color too. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm just following along the same line that I have before, making sure all the color is nicely diffused out. It's just making sure the pink continues to peek through. A nice thing too is if you have, because some people have really steady hands. My hands are okay in terms of steadiness, but I always like to brace my pinky up against somebody. Like I'm doing, it's just easier for me. I'm always in admiration of those people who just go in.
Yeah.
And that's not me. Don't think for a second that you're wrong to rest your hand up against your face. Word of caution though, if you rest your hand up against your face, or if you rest your hand up against somebody's face, don't like be like, because you're gonna undo like everybody's makeup.
Yeah. I know a lot of Zoom noises.
I broke it.
Oh, what happened?
The camera dropped like 2 years ago.
Oh, it's just like when you zoom, it's like.
It's like screaming.
God, your eyes are like a rainbow sunset on the beach.
And then the last thing I'm going to do on her eyes is I'm going to take another one of my favorite eyeshadow brands. I'm a big fan of Urban Decay. I like MAC a lot too, but I really love NARS eyeshadows because they're super creamy. They're incredibly long lasting. The palettes I tend to use the most often are NARS palettes. And they just do like nudes and neutral colors very, very nicely. So I'm just going to take the black here. What I'm going to be doing here is I'm creating dimension to her eye. So now you already see the different colors that are here make her eye seem bigger, and it really emphasizes the light color of her irises. It's beautiful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give more dimension and structure by putting black just along the outside third. So I'm going to follow the same line. I'm going to tap with the same brush, a little bit of black eyeshadow, and just along the edges here, just to create shadow.
Just along the river.
Excellent use of Pocahontas. Always check to make sure that it's even.
If you ever do uneven makeup.
Do I? Oh yeah, of course. Especially if I'm in a hurry.
No, but like, do you do it purposefully for art?
I haven't, because like that would drive me insane. I guess you could, but I would just want to fix it.
Like drastically different.
Yeah. What I'm going to do now is, because Natasha's eyes are actually similarly shaped to mine, I think what's going to be best for glitter is to put it on the very center of her eyelid. There are different names for it. If you're wanting to look for other makeup tutorials that do this, it's called a halo eye, a spotlight eye.
Oh.
And what people will often do with that is they'll put the dark color on either side. But I actually think that that's not the most flattering for our eye shape. For our eye shape, we need to have something very light and bright on the inner corners. I'm going to put the strongest concentration of glitter in the center of our eye because it's going to make everything look more domed shape, and I think it looks really pretty on
What
eye.
glitter are we using?
We are going to be using, let me go grab it.
Urban Decay glitter?
Excited about glitter.
Well, I'm going to be using
Glitter,
Stila,
glitter.
actually, and then also Urban Decay. We're going to just go glitter crazy.
Yes. Yeah, you need to create like a Magnus Bane-esque character.
Oh my god.
So you can just like make him like makeup crazy.
I think
Or
I'm
her.
going to have a character one day who's really into perfume and makeup. Like, does her own thing. I think that's definitely going to be something.
Are you working on something new?
I am. I can't officially put the word out yet, but we have titles. I'm going to be using a ColourPop eyeshadow. I prefer using these eyeshadows, and this color is Prickly Pear. And I like using these eyeshadows a lot with synthetic brushes, or actually just the pad of a clean finger, because I feel like their consistency, if anybody's ever worked with them before, they're not a powder and they're not necessarily a cream. They're sort of like in between. I just feel like if you really want to have a strong concentration of the color, this is the best way to do it. So I just put it on the pad of my middle finger. I'm just going to pat it onto the center of her eyelid right here. If you're a glitter fan, you definitely have to try these. They're the Stila Magnificent Metals, and this is the shade Kitten. I also use the pad of my finger with this. You can use, there's a special brush over there which I will use to put in her inner corners. But for this, I'm just going to tap a little, cover that same spot with this. And then, because we're not done with glitter, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking Urban Decay's Heavy Metal in Midnight Cowboy. And this is, I think, meant to be an eyeliner, but I think everybody's just been using it for everything. So I'm just going to take a little bit of it. I'm just going to dot this in the very center of her eyelid. Just put a couple of stripes here. So then you can see the glitter is sort of doing the same thing. The gradation of the glitter is doing the exact same thing.
Oh, so you're just like adding it on top.
Yep, just adding it on top. Because if you just put this on here, it looks kind of harsh. And what you're always trying to do is making sure every part of your look looks as blended as possible. I love how close you're getting.
I don't even want to know.
And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do some liner. And then remove
Do
the
I
tape.
open my eyes or I keep it?
Shall let it dry for a second.
Feels wet.
What I like to do with my cat eyes, sort of like draw them out, like just do the outline of them with a felt tip liner. This is Kat Von D's ink liner and Trooper. And I like to fill it in with liquid liner. And that's because I feel like the felt tip, while they're, for me, the easiest to use, especially to do precise lines, they often aren't dark enough. So I'm taking this, and again, it's great because we already have a really clean line over here on the edge because of the tape. So the way I like to do cat eyes, especially eyes on hooded eyelids, the cat eyes they can be really tricky. No matter what you do, you're gonna get the slight fold. Like if you look at my eyes, you'll get a slight fold here, but you don't want it to be cut in the center, which is often what happens. I like to draw the line along the edge of the eye first, here, like this. And I like to do both sides at once so that you can make sure both sides are as even as possible.
What did you mean by cut, like in the eyeliner?
If you look at my eyes here, when you open your eye, there's a fold that sort of cuts the straight line. Whenever you have hooded eyes like you and I have, they'll be cut. Like the crease will cut like halfway through and it'll look like it's folded. And there's really no way to avoid that because of the shape of our eyes. So I like to take the edge of the brush with my eye closed and draw onto the lid. And this tape is so helpful for this. So now I'm taking, this is NYX, and I can't just leave this out because it's very liquidy. But I love this eyeliner because it's super dark. The only thing is you have to be very careful because it takes a little bit of time to dry. I can't talk when I'm doing eyeliner. It takes a lot of concentration. I'm gonna remove the tape, and again, be very careful when you're doing this. Don't pull hard because the skin here is incredibly tender.
So don't rip it like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, don't rip it like a Band-Aid.
Felt like satisfying.
Oh yeah, it's super satisfying. It's like often the favorite part of doing makeup for me. So what I'm doing is I'm just pulling the skin back like this.
Voila! Ooh. Pretty.
We'll do the under.
That's it. I'm so sad I didn't have the end of it. Thank you so much, Renee, for taking the time to do my makeup. I felt so pretty afterwards. I have been using all of your little tricks, and I bought myself glitter so I could put glitter on my eyes. Having my makeup done by Renee has changed the way I do some of my makeup, and I use some of the products that she used on me then. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in a new video. Keep calm and fangirl on. Bye! Like fell off the book.
Oh my god.
I've got it.
Alright, awesome.
I'm fine.